You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, B&B fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I want to talk about a possible twist on the CBS soap opera. I know we saw a body leave in a bag, zipped up, dead as a doornail, huge puddle of blood, but I am not entirely convinced that uber villain Sheila Carter went out like that. There's just some red flags that it might not have been her that died, and if she is still alive, I just wonder what's next for her. We're going to talk about those red flags, but please click subscribe if you haven't. And now let's dig in. There is some compelling evidence that Bold might be playing games with fans to try and score big in the ratings, not once, but twice. So if you don't know it, there are a couple of plastic surgery events in Sheila Carter's past. These are important because they set a precedent and they might come into play today. Back on Young and the Restless in 2005, remember she's been on both soaps 19 years ago, we had Sheila Carter in Genoa City, but looking unlike herself. That's because they had Michelle Stafford playing the role. Michelle Stafford, of course, plays Phyllis Summers. If you watch YNR, if you don't, that's her character name. The explanation was Sheila had plastic surgery to look like Phyllis so she could, lurk around and do shady Sheila things. Meanwhile, there was someone also in town on YNR that looked like Sheila, only her name was Sugar. We first met Sugar on Bold and the Beautiful a couple of years before that in 2003. She was a warden who actually let Sheila go after she was arrested for a pile of heinous crimes, and Sugar and Sheila ran out of LA together. So picture this on Young and the Restless, because this is kind of confusing. Kimberlin Brown was playing Sugar, who originally was played by the amazing Robin Mattson. And then Michelle Stafford was playing Sheila. Okay, so yeah, that was fast forward. So Sugar had plastic surgery and looked like Sheila. Sugar, as I said, was originally played by Robin Mattson. Then they flipped over to Kimberlin Brown. Confused yet? Is confusing. It's very soap confusing. Sheila had tricked Sugar into having plastic surgery. She had promised her like some kind of makeover or something. And then she wakes up and she looks like Sheila, and she was furious about it. And then it was, I think 2007 around then, Sheila Carter was shot dead by Lauren Finmore. She was declared dead at the scene. Literally, CBS soap fans thought for sure Sheila's reign of terror was done. And then a decade later, a full decade in 2017, if you recall, Bold and the Beautiful pulled off a huge shocker, brought her back to LA alive and well and looking for forgiveness and not looking like Michelle Stafford, looking like Kimberlin Brown. And that's where Sheila has been ever since. As for Sugar, and she's important to this discussion, last we saw she was in jail for crimes tied to Sheila. So we have Sheila Carter right now supposedly dead. And yes, I know Kimberlin Brown confirmed she was done at the soap opera. However, that doesn't mean the CBS soap didn't ask her to say that as part of them pulling off a big plot twist. It could be also she's gone for now and will be back later if B&B is doing a double desperate ratings grab. And I mean, they really need a ratings grab. They have 33 straight weeks of low rankings in their key 18 to 49 demographic. And I haven't seen the ratings yet for this past week. They're not out yet. I'm assuming the Dead Sheila Carter episodes are going to bump ratings up. Bringing her back alive would probably do the same. So I know you're probably thinking she's dead. She was stabbed. She bled out. The EMTs called time of death. I understand all of that. I concur. I saw it too. However, we still have this Sugar twist as a possibility. It could have been Sheila's doppelganger that died at the end of Steffi's butcher knife. There are some huge red flags I need to tell you about, 7 of them. All right, I want you to think about these because this may not be the end. We may be in for a twist, maybe in May sweeps, maybe later, hopefully not in a decade. We'll see. First red flag, Sheila Carter has been dead before, declared dead by EMTs, just like she was this past week on Bold and the Beautiful, but it was back in 2007 on Y&R, shot to death rather than stabbed, declared dead at the scene. Same thing, zipped up, corpse taken away in a body bag. So yeah, this has been done with Sheila before on CBS daytime. Number 2 red flag, Rich Forster brought up Sheila's recent fake death, the thing with the bear attack and the toe and all that. And so maybe it was an Easter egg of things to come, another fake death. Third red flag, there was the whole thing where Sheila kept reaching in her pocket, but she never pulled anything out. There's something in there, I think, that might be used to incriminate Steffi. We'll see, but I don't think it's a weapon. Steffi assumed she was armed. I just doubt it. I think this might have been a setup to ruin Steffi out of revenge for her recent physical attack on Sheila and the way she talked to her, and for cutting her out of Finn's life and Hayes' life. Number 4, there was that weird veil thing over her face that was pulled off at the last minute. Why? I mean, Sheila might have wanted it as camouflage while she was outside, but once she was in the house, she didn't need it, and she didn't really need it outside. It was just kind of a weird effect, and that leaves me asking why. Because the whole thing is, if it is her doppelganger, it's going to look slightly off. So that's just why. The 5th red flag, Sheila keeps talking about having a old friend in town, and she's been creeping off to see this person. I'll say this, Sugar and Sheila were once friends, really good friends, good enough friends for Sugar to let her loose out of jail and run off with her. But after Sheila tricked Sugar into plastic surgery, not so much friends anymore. Sugar was mad, but they might have made up. That's very easy to say, oh, we made up, And if it was Sugar that Sheila was meeting, Sheila definitely would have to creep off to do it, because with the plastic surgery, Sugar's her doppelganger, and she couldn't let anybody see two Sheilas. All right, the 6th red flag. This is a huge one. Sheila never spoke during that whole incident in the house. There was her outside saying Steffi has to die, but that was also kind of the same voiceover. It was the same thing from the week before when she said it, or the last episode before when they were bickering. But that was it. She came in silently. I get that, because she was creeping up on her. Sure, you want to not say anything, but why not say anything after she was spotted? Why not shout, "Die, Steffi," as she attacked her, or a shout as she attacked, or even some last words before she died? Scott Granger over on Y&R realized Sugar wasn't really Sheila because her voice didn't sound right, and then she stabbed him to keep him quiet about it. So Sheila being uncharacteristically quiet, and then that same voice thing causing a problem on Y&R, and we've had Sheila's doppelganger and knife play before. So, and if it was Sugar and she said something, Steffi might have realized something was off. 7th red flag. Sheila had 9 toes. We all know that because she was just painting them. They just reminded us of that by showing it to us with her doing her little discount pedicure because she only has 9 toes. That was her fake death. Sugar should have 10 toes. So I'm wondering one of two things. If in the autopsy they're going to see 10 toes, and maybe it's in the report and it's only seen later, or maybe Sheila cut off one of Sugar's toes to sell this ruse, and they notice in the autopsy maybe that the wound is too fresh. It's not scarred over, something like that. Just some things to consider, because the toe thing, they reminded us of it in 2 different ways, once with Ridge and once when she was painting her nails right before Steffi came over beating down the door. The question, of course, is why would Sugar go in there and get herself stabbed as a favor to Sheila Carter? Well, first of all, Sugar might not have known it was going to end in a stabbing. She might have gone in there to scare her, lure her outside something. If Sugar is part of this twist, she and Sheila might have mended fences, they're friends again, and she agreed to do it. Why? Well, you never know. Maybe Sugar had a terminal illness or something and was going to die some kind of painful death anyway, and dying at Steffi's hand was preferable, something like that. Sheila might have gaslit her into it. You never know with Sheila Carter. And then there's the question also, if it was Sugar that died looking like Sheila and Sheila is alive, where is she? What's her end game? Well, Deacon refused to marry her because Hope pitched a fit. Maybe Sheila has decided, she's going to start a new life somewhere. Her son Finn cut her out of his life. She can't see her grandson Hayes. Deacon's considering cutting her out of his life so he can see his grandkids. Things aren't going great for Sheila in LA. And she just shouted at Steffi, I have other kids. She does. She has other kids. She could go see them. If Sheila is really alive out there, maybe she's headed off to Genoa City or the Caribbean, or maybe she's planning to call Deacon, ask him to meet her and run away with her, after she does all she can to make sure that Steffi goes to prison for her supposed murder. We will see. With bold ratings in a slump for the past 8 months, they need to do something. They need desperately to do something big. Killing Sheila might do it for a little rating spike, and bringing her back to life as a twist in the next round of sweeps could bring them another spike. Or, sugar's not involved, none of this. Sheila might be just dead and gone. If Sheila is dead and gone, we still are left hanging with a lot of these red flags, including the who's the friend in town, stuff like that. To me, Sheila's death seemed random, sudden, and it was very weird that Sheila never got in last words with Steffi. That is very much unlike Sheila. She would have had something to say, and it's also unlike Sheila to go out with a whimper instead of a bang. And again, I know Kimberlin said she was done at the soap, so please don't drop in the comments. Kimberlin said, I know, I heard it, I saw it. Maybe she is, but that doesn't mean she's not going over to Y&R perhaps, or that she's done for now and is going to lay low and they bring her back in a couple of months for the next sweeps in May. I have to admit, I don't like the idea of Sheila being dead because I love villains. I love a good villain, but I guess we'll find out. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely come back soon. We are here talking B&B 7 days a week. And as always, it is Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.